What is going on, SHIPIT Nation YouTube station? That gave me some chill bumps just listening to that intro. Let's just get it out of the way right off top, BJ. We had the big announcement today. Saber Sim, SHIPIT Nation, the partnership is together. The partnership has begun. Talk to me a little bit about it, man. What's going on? How was your weekend? Let's just dive right into it.
Yeah, man. No, great. I mean, as you know, this is one of the top not only optimizers but sims in the industry. I've been dabbling with it a little bit. I've had a lot of success with it. I know a ton of other people out there have. I'm just excited. I mean, all this good juju that's coming into the NBA chat tonight and SHIPIT Nation as a whole makes me jacked up to see some winners over the next, not only, tonight, but the next week and finishing off the year strong.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people in chat. And I got to say, not Wardo. I always see Wardo. Nika, intro, it's fire. She loves Saber Sim. Nika, I loved your video that you did with Tambo. It's really helped me out a bunch. If you haven't watched that, if you are a member of SHIPIT Nation, head on over there and watch Nika's video. It was very good. So shout out to you. Thanks for tuning in today. But yeah, there's no better optimizer in the industry than Saber Sim. I mean, variety of different packages. I'm going to pull them up real quick and just talk about it. We talk about delivering the value that you need month in and month out, and we do that, right? Pay less for content, play more contests. You see that here, SHIPIT Nation, $99, get you every single sport. We got the competitors across the top. You maybe can guess who those guys are, but hey, you don't want to pay $299 for 7 sports with no NHL. Come on over to SHIPIT Nation. $99 will get you everything that you need when it comes to the optimizer, which is Saber Sim now. Super excited, super pumped to talk about that. BJ, how was your weekend? Talk a little broad slate overview of the 7-game DK slate. You mentioned Cade was sizzling last night. I didn't see that post-game interview, but he certainly was. But how was your weekend? And give us a little broad slate overview of this 7-gamer.
Yeah, no, man, it was good. It's funny how the slates kind of work out. Normally by the weekend time with all the content, that I'm on Saturday, kind of by Sunday, you're kind of tired and want to take a little rest. Did not. We took some time off the previous week. So not only we have like 7 games on Sunday, we had some early games, we had some PGA. Can't get the MMA stuff right. Nothing, it's me. It's not us. I mean, the content on the website this weekend was absolutely fire. And then going back and reading it, I'm like, how did I not get to some winners on MMA? But we're back, money back tonight. I absolutely love the slate. Certainly a couple games we can get away from. There's going to be, chalky pieces along the slate. Embiid finally ruled out. We're kind of waiting on that. I don't know how many more games he'll play this season, but we're going to have value with the Sixers. We're going to have value with the Jazz. We got a couple of games I want to get away from, and then a game I really, really like. So excited to break it down.
Yeah, absolutely. And Wardo, come on, you're my dog, man. Me and you are boys. It's you and Rio that have beef with each other. I can wake up in the Discord and see you and Rio going at it. It feels like almost every night, but we are. Wardo, you're my boy. Knicks for life. Love that. Shout out to everybody else in here as well. And hey, do what Austin says. Give us a thumbs up. We certainly appreciate it. Helps us out a ton. On our way to 10,000 subscribers. Who else is in here today that is maybe new? Mark Davis, what's going on? Daniels is in here. Richard's in here talking about Saber Sim has arrived for the best DFS site. We certainly appreciate that. Hey, excuse me. I got to talk a little bit about it, BJ, before we get into it. Hey, Ham admits when he was wrong. And Friday night, I was pounding the table for my guy, Miles Deuce McBride. He shot it 4 times in the first quarter, and then he shot it 4 times for the entire game. They froze him out. They didn't give him the ball. They got absolutely obliterated on Friday, obliterated on Sunday. I will say, though, I did think he was going to start. And then I will say Kevin Porter Jr. didn't really set the world on fire anyway. But, hey, Ham will eat his L. I said Deuce. I was wrong. What's my punishment?
I don't know. You definitely got to give us a winner, though, by the end of the night. We'll let the chat kind of decide it over the show, but definitely locked in for the Ham play of the day before we get out of here for sure.
Yeah, man, that was bad. Deuce didn't start. And then, like I said, he played, shot it 4 times in the first quarter. And I think he ended with 4 shots. Wardo, what's up with that, my man? That's not good. But Ham eats his L on Deuce. But yeah, Big Ant, what's going on? Welcome back.
Appreciate the shout out here, by the way. I like that. Boy Toys Monday. Let's do it. Come on now.
Boy Toys Monday. Eat your lettuce. Hey, Nuance, Giannis is still not a good basketball player. I'm going to stand on that. I said it yesterday in the slate plan. He came out with like 9 in the first 5 minutes, and then he just turned into Giannis. But in any event, let's get right into it. We got 7 games to break down the first one is going to be a doozy. We have Brooklyn taking on Washington on the second night of a back-to-back. They really disappointed last night. They put up, what, 60 – no, they ended up putting up 90 points. They had like 66 late in the third, early in the fourth, ended up with 90. But talk to me a little bit about this game. Brooklyn, a team that I never liked the roster, but Washington might have some pieces that we want to get to.
Absolutely. I love it. Keep me on my toes early, going down, starting on like game 4. But we'll start here. Absolutely. A million injuries out. I believe the news we're waiting on. I need to double check it to see if we have the news yet, but Sarr is questionable. I don't believe he's officially ruled out yet. But yeah, this is going to be one of the games that I'm not super, excited about getting to at all. I mean, we talked about it on Saturday, I believe, when we had all the Nets value and they were uber popular. And I think 5 or 6 of the players were above 20% owned. It ended up paying off for a few of the guys, other guys not so much, but sneaky. The Nets have been playing, pretty decently on the defensive end over the last few games. A lot better in the half court. They are giving up a little bit of transition stuff and the rim stuff, but not the same kind of target that we're used to seeing from them this whole season. And then, like I said, the news here for Sarr is going to be important because Claxton is going to be one of the best plays on the slate if he is ruled out. Already a great play tonight, but just a few pieces here. We'll keep it short. Not my favorite game in the world. Cam Johnson will start there. He's probably going to be, aside from Claxton, one of my favorite plays here. Obviously gets Coulibaly defense on the other end. But he just takes so many shots. His price is coming back up. I mean, this was a guy where we had similar rosters to start the season, and he was flirting around the low 7Ks. Want to be kind of on him a little bit early before that tag goes up to 7K. Again, 6,400, he will definitely be an option here. And then to kind of go back to Claxton, I mean, our discussion was, I believe it was Friday, maybe Saturday, how many minutes is he going to get? I mean, all season he's kind of been tough from a minutes perspective. Obviously, no, he's a good fantasy point per minute producer, but he came out and played a season high 36 minutes, under 6K. If he gets anything like that against the best matchup in the league with centers on the other side, especially if Sarr is out, I really like him, and he will be very popular tonight. And then kind of breaking down the rest of the net side, I mean, these are just going to be secondary options. No Hayes at 41. If he does come back in the starting lineup, no thanks. He got a couple more days on that 10-day, if I'm not mistaken. Zaire, I mean, he's garnering the most ownership before, what do we have? 3 hours until lock. Don't love it, but this matchup will profile well for him. He's an option. He could score 5K. I'm okay with it. And the same goes for Keon Johnson. I mean, with Jordan Poole defense on the other side, both him and Zaire, in my belief, will get the Jordan Poole matchup. I do see both of them having a potential at beating this tag and some good leverage off of what I believe is going to be a very popular Claxton and Cam Johnson as we get closer to lock. That's where I'll kind of leave the net side. And then jumping over to the Wizard side, no thanks. No thanks on Jordan Poole. Kind of hurt us a little bit. His tag is very fair. If Sarr plays, I mean, we can make a case for him, but I don't think he plays tonight at 5,600. That's going to lead me to a few other options. I think these options here in the mid tier are going to be interesting. I need to double check. I have Middleton out tonight. We're going to make an adjustment there. I will double check here. Maybe somebody in chat knows. I don't have chat up now, but I will double check when I pass it over to you. But I'm going to be looking here at Keyshawn George and Coulibaly. Obviously, Coulibaly at 6,500, not the most comfortable roster. He is going to play some big minutes and, most likely have Cam Johnson as a defensive assignment on the other side. So could not have as much energy, if you will, for the offensive side, but still definitely an option at no ownership in what could be an ugly game. And then Keyshawn George at 5K. Just interesting. Like I said, if both Middleton and Smart are out, which is what I have here, both of them will be in increased roles to where their tags just necessarily aren't enough. But really, like I said, I think I spoke a little bit too much on this game. Don't love it. As we have plenty of other options here on the slate.
Yeah, excellent breakdown there. And I'm with Nika, right? I always like taking out the Nets. I mean, Nets are tough. They play so many guys. They don't play a lot of minutes, and they don't put up a lot of good fantasy scores. It would be Claxton at 5'9". We had a 40, I think a 34 and a 40. His last three. Still no Noah Clowney in that matchup, so obviously he should get 28 plus minutes tonight. And then on the other side, if Sarr sits, do you have any interest in Rashawn Holmes at 4,900 or any of this Vucevic guy down at 3,900? Played 20 minutes last night. Any interest there?
No, I find myself, if I'm going to be in that range, I got all the Jazz guys that we're going to get to later in the slate. So that's where I'd rather go. Like I said, I believe this is the lowest total on the slate, if I'm not mistaken, and it feels like it. Additionally, the Nets defense, like I said, has been playing a little bit better, specifically in the half court, where I think those guys would be able to score points. So I'll be off them there.
Yeah, I mean, Claxton's going to be popular. You said it. They got the best matchup versus centers with the Wizards. Yeah, I just don't know. And then no one said anything about Middleton or Smart.
I'm going to double check now. I'm almost certain that they're out. So I'll double check.
Yeah, I haven't seen it updated. They got ruled out quickly yesterday. So I wonder if they knew they were playing today, they might be playing. But yeah, check that out while we go to the next game. And I would agree, Cam. I'm a better fantasy producer than Killian Hayes. We put up, I think, the same amount the other day. He put up 0 points. He was chalky. He was dirt cheap, and rightfully so. I saw this in the chat earlier, which I thought was pretty funny. Where was it? Michael Peterson says, I have to say that Keon Ellis is 3 times that I love Keon Ellis. My goodness gracious, how bad can you be at basketball, Keon Ellis? But anyway, moving on to the next game. Sorry, I was going off a different screen, BJ. We'll get this thing back in order. We got the Clippers with 2 of their big dogs out tonight, taking on the Pistons, who were on fire last night, put up about $140, about almost $150 against those Hawks. They might have put up $150, but Clippers at the Pistons should be a good real-life game. James Harden should get a lot of looks tonight, but who you got in this game? Clippers plus 1.5 in Detroit.
Yeah, I like us getting the 2 ugly games out of the way early. Norman out, Kawhi out, obviously Ivy out, and the big news, Ben Simmons out, obviously, haha. But this is, I mean, both of these teams as a whole for the year are going to rank, around the top 5 in defensive efficiency. Both are playing on the back end of a back-to-back as well. So not much interest here. Obviously, we have to talk about James Harden. People are going to look at the Asir Thompson matchup on the other side and obviously rightfully so be nervous about it. I am curious how much Thompson plays on the back end of a back-to-back. They've been a little frugal with his minutes from that standpoint on second hand of back-to-back. But James Harden, regardless of matchup, is going to have such an increased role here tonight that I would be interested in. He should be popular. I believe that number is going to get higher than the 8.5 that we have. I think he's in the double digits, and I believe that would be fair ownership. Really, that's the only play. I mean, we can get a little bit different and kind of find, if you want to talk about Bogdan, at 49 playing some increased minutes, maybe as we get closer. But I don't want to find myself with the Chris Dunns, the Coffees, the Derek Jones, anything like that. So keep this one real short. It's going to be James Harden or bust for me. And then jumping over to the Pistons side, I mean, the 2 most popular plays, or really 3, with Cunningham, Thompson, and Duren on the other side. I mean, all of these guys, I mean, they're in for a tough matchup tonight. It's a little bit of a pace down spot in my opinion. It's kind of close, but Cade, he's been playing awesome, but the pick and roll defense for the Clippers is pretty good. Now, can that change with we wouldn't consider Kawhi in because there's so much time that he's missed, but with Norman on the other side missing, I could make a case for it, but I still think at 10.5 with some other studs we're going to want to pay for, both up priced higher than 10.5 with Joker and lower with like a guy like Maxey, which we'll get to. I don't believe this is going to be a spot that I would want to offer somebody playing Cade. You can always go to him with how productive he's been, but I think the matchup is tough tonight, and I'm going to stay away. Same goes for Duren. I mean, yeah, he's been balling, and he's been so productive over now it's been a month or so, but he's able to score on some of these putbacks, be powerful in the rim, and this just isn't the matchup against the Clippers and Zubac on the other side, so I will stay away. And like I mentioned before, Thompson at 5,600, they've been a little careful with his minutes on back end of a back-to-back, so I don't absolutely love it. Wish I had more in this game. If you have anything, go ahead and chime in. But I mean, this is a pretty ugly game in my book, and most likely an X outside of James Harden.
Yeah, I like Harden, obviously. Someone was asking about Big Zoo. I'm out on Zoo. I don't know if you're in. Asar Thompson, 17 minutes last night, but he only played 24 on Friday night against San Antonio. They're playing so many dudes. I think Fontecchio got hurt and left last night, but they're playing, I think, 11 or 12 guys. Dennis Schroeder is getting some minutes now. So I think they're limiting everybody outside of Cade. I think Cade played 35. But One name that I like that I think you said you don't like would be Bogdan Bogdanovic at 4,900. I mean, if he starts, I think he's a great play. It doesn't look like we don't have him starting, but if you look at this Clippers team, BJ, who on this team is going to score? Chris Dunn's not going to score. Amir Coffey can't score. Derek Jones can't score. They're going to have to bring in Bogey, and he's going to have to shoot it, I think, 15-plus times in order for them to win. At 4,900, I think you can pay off that tag, but it would be Harden and then maybe Bogey on the other side, and then 10-5K. What are you doing with the 10-5K? Are you in or out on that?
No 10-5K to me. Obviously balling and hooping, and he prints his 50 bombs. But like I said, I mean, you can find the money to get to Joker. You can go down to Maxey. There's so many other options. We'll even get into Halliburton a little bit in the next game. So I'd rather just spend money elsewhere. But can always go to him, especially low ownership. But I don't love it tonight.
Yeah, Nika knows you need 6.5 out of some money to win a tournament. K at 6.5 at 10-5. It's about 70 points. So 50 bombs don't do you any good tonight when you have Cade. Chris Dunn, yeah, he is a thief. He is a thief out there getting 6 steals last time. I played Chris Dunn a couple nights ago when he started. Moving on to the next game. We're going to stay in order. We got probably the best game of the night, at least from a daily fantasy perspective. 245.5 point total. Got the Nuggets, who just got absolutely destroyed on Saturday night in primetime. Luka and company are back. Lakers are forced to be reckoned with. But Nikola had a bad game, I guess, from Nikola standards. Just still got a triple-double, but underperformed from a daily fantasy perspective. Who you got in this game? You think the Nuggets get back on track, or are you going with anybody on these Pacers?
Yeah, no, you said Luka, but I think you mean Joker. I think Joker triple-double. Took 7 shots in that game. So that's going to be kind of my main headline here as we talk about players. Obviously, it's not some crazy hot take, to play Joker, but he'll be in all of my lineups tonight, and I'll kind of get that out of the way early. Both the Nuggets and the Pacers defense have been really bad of late. I mean, the Pacers, started the season really well from a defensive perspective, but they're giving up so many points at the rim. Obviously, the matchup, gets propelled with Joker and Gordon on the other side. But not only that, but the same thing we've kind of preached for about a month now. The Nuggets are giving it up everywhere. They're giving it up at the rim, catch and shoot, transition. Their defense has just been bad, hence the 245 total, if my math is correct, somewhere around there. Yeah, 245.5. So I love everybody in this game. So we'll start with the Nuggets side. I think that this is just a huge Joker spot. 7 field goals. I would anticipate that come right back and give them 20-some-odd shots tonight. Obviously going to be able to be powerful on the rebounding side of things against Miles Turner and Siakam on the other side. So profile him, rightfully so, 21%. I'm good playing him, up to 40% or so. I believe you're going to need him to be on the winner tonight. But some other guys, and this is the same thing we kind of touched on. I believe it was Saturday in the slate plan. But how we're going to get different from that is playing multiple pieces from the Nuggets team together, hoping and anticipating that they can score 125, 130 points like what their team total is suggesting. Murray, he didn't do very much driving in the last game. This is more of just watching the game type stuff at 7,700. He kind of took a lot of perimeter shots and didn't focus on getting to the rim. I think that changes as well. So I like him at 7,700. And then I'll throw Brown and Porter together in a bucket. Both, obviously priced about $400 different. I don't know what the matchup is going to be. Will Nembhard get Murray? I would anticipate so. So we're talking Nesmith and Halliburton on both of these guys. Don't know. I'm just going to kind of stay away from it. I believe it's okay that both these guys aren't gathering any ownership because the better matchup is going to be Aaron Gordon down low. He's going to get Siakam matchup down low at 5,300, getting his minutes back, producing really well. And obviously, with how many rim points are being given up, I'll put him and Joker together being able to be productive down low. That's where I'll kind of leave it. You can make a case for Russell Westbrook at sub 6K. His ownership is about 8%. I think that is fair. But really outside of Murray, Gordon, and Joker, all three of those other guys are going to be falling into a secondary play type bucket. I haven't really played around with builds, but I don't mind Murray, Gordon, and Joker together with a pacer on the other side in such a high-paced matchup. I believe we'll max out there at 3. I don't think you can make a case for 4, obviously, with spending so much on Joker. But then jumping over to the Pacers side, it'll be interesting. I mean, I don't love it. Halliburton's been playing better as of late. 8K, interesting tag. The Nuggets have been bad. defensively. So you can certainly make a case for him, but obviously we like it from a tournament standpoint, but I don't like it from a rostering standpoint that this guy can get you, 19, 17 fantasy points, but can also get you 66. Kind of, your mini course field NBA, if you will, right? You play them and they go off. Well, you need them to win. If he plays bad, then you're automatically dead type stuff. But he'll be kind of a secondary play for me. I'll find myself more kind of in the mid tier, if you will, for the Nuggets. For the Pacers. I like the Nemhard. He's 5,100. I would anticipate him playing extended minutes tonight. What we've seen, if he does end up guarding Jamal Murray on the other side, is that he kind of plays around the same amount of minutes as who his defensive assignment is. And if that's the case, Jamal Murray and the rest of these Nuggets starting five have been playing huge minutes. So I could see, obviously a tough defensive matchup, but increased minutes from Nemhard at 5,100. So I do like that. It's some pretty low ownership. You can make a case for Siakam. I don't love it at 76, and I will not be making a case for Miles Turner at 6,200. Just too much going on. Focus on the defensive end, obviously foul risk, and that's a tough matchup against such a big body. So I'll kind of keep it short. I like, the Nemhard and the Nesmith a little bit more than Halliburton and Siakam, but you can really make a case for all these guys in such a high-paced matchup against a bad Nuggets defense. Yeah,
excellent breakdown there. I would disagree with you slightly. I watched that game Saturday night too, and looking at the numbers, the centers against Joker and this Nuggets team performed very well. I don't hate Miles Turner at 6,200, and then on the same side, 3,900 Aaron Nesmith. BJ, I love that. I'm showing sub 8% ownership in the flagship. Any Nesmith love at only 3,900. He has to get 25, 26 to pay off his tag. And 6+. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I guess what my question would be like, where do we find the minutes between him and Mathurin off the bench? Yeah. I believe Mathurin will get a few more minutes. Obviously a better scoring threat for Mathurin. So I would anticipate, Nesmith being around kind of the low 20s in minutes. I think that's a fair assessment. I don't think he plays more than 25, 26. And I think I'd just rather get to some more popular value with the upside that they bring than $3,900 Nesmith. But like I said, if he gets up to high 20s in minutes, we've seen him produce before, so I don't hate it, but not where I'm going to go tonight.
My boy Wardo says Nesmith is cheeks. I don't know, Wardo, but yeah, I'm with you. It's Mather and Nesmith. I feel like they play both 25 a night, in and around there, and then Halliburton's in play, and then you really like Joker. I like Aaron Gordon as well. I think you said that as well. Moving on.
I think that's just a great combo to start lineups. If you're going to do your little combo pack, whatever, just throw them together. Obviously offered, plenty of upside at the tag, and the Pacers are giving it up at the rim. So I think that's a good way to start. And then you can make your decision if you want to change one of those guys. I think a sneaky route would be like, hey, maybe Joker is going to take, lower in shots and focus more on being a distributor. I don't think that's the case, but if that's what you're going to do, I wouldn't mind, even Gordon and Murray together, just get a little bit different on a popular Joker.
I don't understand, like these coaches, I don't feel like they mimic others, but I think that the Lakers, I don't know if you watched that game, but they gave you the blueprint on how to beat them, is you double Joker and make Aaron Gordon beat you. Make Russell Westbrook beat you, and 9 out of 10 times they're not going to do it. And Joker's taking if Joker takes less than 10 shots, they're very rarely going to win, in my opinion. But we'll see. You maybe could build a couple teams if you were doing 10 plus that way, but you can't let Joker beat you, in my opinion. Moving on to the next game, Joel Embiid is out. So these, we already have him out, so that's good. So we already have Yabu in there starting at center. I like him at that price tag, 4,900. The Bulls, they've been a defensive letdown all season long, but Bulls at the 76ers. Josh Giddey played well his last time out, but any love for any of these Bulls at the 76ers? Talk to us a little bit about this game, because I think we will with I think you said Maxey is questionable as well, so talk to us about this one.
Yeah, he's questionable. Don't have an update. Maybe there is, and I missed it, but this is going to be an interesting spot. If we look at ownerships for this game, here, let me get on the right screen here. Let's see what we got. Sorry, wrong screen. When you look at ownerships, obviously the Sixers are getting, plenty of love, and rightfully so. We love the target Bulls games. They can't stop the ball, and they're giving up points at the rim. So it's kind of like the perfect kind of matchup here for the Sixers, as for everybody else in the NBA. But we'll start here on the Bulls side before I get into all of the love for the Sixers side. I think like the big question here is like, are you going to get to Lonzo Ball at 5K? I mean, I have him somewhere between 26 and 29 minutes. I think that would be a fair assessment at 5K. Obviously, we know he fills multiple buckets, just under a fantasy point per minute producer, but the 21% ownership is going to be tough for me. We could see it get steamed a little bit in mid-tier builds and get around that 25% marker. If that's the case, no thank you. I'm going to be more inclined to get to the Giddies, the Whites, the Vooch, who I really like tonight. But we'll start with the Giddey stuff. I would anticipate Giddey ends up getting Kelly Oubre on the other side. Like that would be probably how I would defend Josh Giddey. And if that's the case, I definitely like Kobe White more at 67. He's probable tonight, tweaked his ankle, came back. Was it yesterday? Maybe the night before. Sorry, my days are getting all.
I think it was like Saturday, maybe.
Yeah, maybe Saturday. But yeah, I mean, I'd rather go there for the savings, staying away from the Kelly Oubre defense. Not really in love with Lonzo Ball, specifically because of the ownership. If somehow we get closer to lock and we anticipate him being 10%, I don't mind Lonzo Ball, but Vooch is going to be the big one for me. I mean, Vooch is either going to get Yabu or Drummond. I mean, it's just a clear, not only size advantage, but a potential matchup to destroy his tag at 7,500. Everybody knows I love going to Vooch. I'm okay with the ownership there because of the price tag. If he was 82, 83, it'd be a little bit different, but 75, I mean, he offers us, 50-point upside in this spot. So I really like, attacking that, but that's really it for the bull side. I mean, we can make a case for Waiter off the bench at 3,600. I mean, he's low 20s in minutes, but we know he can get hot from behind the 3-point line. But I will say if he is going to be around that 20% ownership marker, I mean, I would plan to fade and hopefully he doesn't, hit shots and he plays 19 minutes tonight. But we will see. I mean, as we get closer to lock, where ownership shakes out. But that's where I'll leave it. I'll leave it with the big three. Vooch, White, and then Giddey. And then the Sixers side is going to be interesting. I mean, you could just say, hey, Kelly Oubre is going to be the best play on the slate. I mean, we saw what he did when we saw stretches over the last couple of months with either no Maxey, no Paul George, or no Embiid. He was almost a 7K player, if I'm not mistaken, just printing, huge upside games at what they were pricing him on DraftKings. So he'll probably be the most popular play in the slate, in my opinion, at 5,500, knowing that he's going to play huge minutes, knowing that the Bulls like to run. It kind of fits his, profile of production really well. So I like him, but the real one is if Maxey's in at 9K, I mean, we've considered Paul George completely out. At least I have, is just, not playing well. This issue that he's had with his finger, he's not shooting the ball well. And his tag at 71 is just going to be a no-go, especially at 25%. So if we're going to get a 10% ownership discount on Maxey at 9K and get a mispriced Kelly Oubre, I mean, absolutely load those up. I love playing those guys together and picking a bull on the other side. The field will agree with that, so it's not rocket science, but I really like that. And then Quentin Grimes at 5,600, he's been playing well. He's been getting minutes. He produces, almost as good. Well, he's producing better here on the Stone, so I could be wrong for my notes, but I would anticipate him. He's almost like the same player as Kelly Oubre, so I like him as well at 5,600. I don't believe you'll get much leverage in fading, Kelly Oubre and going to Grimes, so I wouldn't get super cute and kind of make my decision between those two. And then, we just keep talking about plays. Yabu at 49 is an absolute smash. His ownership will go up as the field reacts to the Embiid news. And somehow he's under 20, or if he's under 20% ownership, he'll just be a lock and load at sub 5K, having to play huge minutes. And even if Drummond does get some extended run, he'll play enough at the 4 to be able to pay off tags.
Yeah, excellent breakdown there. We got a question about newly acquired Zach Collins, 3,300. I see Vooch as questionable. I'm assuming he's playing, but let's say Vooch is in. Do you have any love for Collins at 33? And then if Vooch is out, I think Collins becomes much more viable. But any love for Zach Collins?
Yeah, I think you said it there. I think if Vooch is going to be in, which I did not have that note, so I'm curious to see if that was a midday thing. But I just think Vooch is going to get too many minutes, and the matchup will be good. And I don't really want to get a little too cute. I would consider that a little too cute of a play at 3,300 coming off the bench. I'd rather spend my money elsewhere with guys that we know are going to get the minutes.
Yeah, excellent. And then Jared Butler, I think, is squarely in play. Should Maxey miss again? So keep an eye out. If Maxey misses, Jared Butler, 3,400, should play 25 plus minutes. And then Quentin Grimes, I mean, not going to get much leverage, but he's been starting, with the I guess big two plus Paul George and Oubre. I mean, I looked at ownership on SaberSim. I mean, we have Paul George at like 25% ownership. There's just no chance I'm paying $7,100 for that guy.
I love it. If you find yourself in contest with him at 25-30%, I mean, you're just counting your money already, right? All you need to do is be a little productive. So I absolutely love seeing that.
Yeah, Oubre and Grimes are much better plays in my opinion, but it's Tyrese Maxey to the moon if he is in. Maxey is a great play at 9K, in my opinion, should he suit up tonight. Moving on to the next game, we got the Heat on the second night of a back-to-back, taking on the Hawks, also on the second night of a back-to-back. Tyler Hero shot it 72 times last night against the Bucks. Any love for Hero and his Bucks mates? Bam, obviously in play, heading into another up-paced spot against this Atlanta team who is not very good defensively. Talk to me about this one.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be like a clear spot of us just picking what Heat guy we want to play. I mean, all these guys are in great spots. And in my belief, anybody in the starting five you can play, and I would not have an issue with it. I mean, obviously, Tyler Hero off the top, he's been playing awesome, 8,500. People are going to talk about Dyson Daniels' defense on the other side, but I went and looked at the one game they played. Where did I write it down? The one game they played this year against the Hawks, he had Dyson defense, obviously. He went for 28, 7, and 10. So I'm not necessarily concerned with that defensive matchup. He's shown that he could be productive against him. So he's going to profile as a great play. Bam's going to profile as a great play at 8,300. With Ware in the lineup, he's kind of playing a different role. Obviously, we've seen his assists go up and his playmaking go up a little bit, and this is just the perfect matchup for him to continue doing that. Before I got into diving into Andrew Wiggins at 6,500, I thought to myself, absolutely play one of those two guys and then keep moving. But Wiggins at 6,500 has been interesting. The last two games, he's played over 40. Yes, one of those was an overtime game. But the Heat are having trouble scoring. He's going to help with that. He's been playing good. Obviously, I have not liked clicking him for the last 2 years, but this is a totally different situation for him. He's playing big minutes. He gets a matchup with the Hawks. They need somebody to help score. I believe that that's him, so I really like that. And then Davion Mitchell at 4,200, he's kind of a sneakier play. I mean, he's taken over Terry Rozier's role on the other side or coming off the bench, so he'll be one of the lower-owned guys aside from Ware. In a great game environment. And yes, he's going to guard Trae Young on the other side, so it's a little bit interesting. But 4,200 as quote, leverage against some of these other value plays, which we'll get to in a few games. I don't mind that. And then the Ware stuff at 63, I mean, he is getting no ownership, and that's kind of the play, like making the decision if you are stacking this game or him being your sole Heat guy, or maybe a combo between him and Wiggins will play well. But I don't hate him at 1% ownership. We know his upside. We know he's been getting minutes, and we know what he can do. So don't mind that. And then jumping over to the Hawks side, as much as I like everybody on the Heat side, I don't have much here for the Hawks, unfortunately. I mean, tough matchup for Trae. I mean, he's been playing really well. And if to steal what Rio had in the slate plan, I know he'd been scoring awesome. I didn't know it was 38 exactly, I believe, in 3 straight games. I don't know if that is the case or I misread it, but been shooting the ball a lot well. Different Trae than we saw to start the season. And not only that, but Dyson Daniels is also playing well on offense. He's getting more of an opportunity, obviously with Hunter gone and Jalen Johnson out for the last couple of months, maybe a month and a half. But this is just tough for me. This is where I would like, a little help from you when I'm done here and tell me if I miss anything. But tough matchup for Trae. Dyson has his hands full defensively. Yes, he's had upside in tough matchups, so I don't want to cross him off. Richeche played huge minutes. He played 31 the other night or last night. And I was kind of hoping to kind of see that after the trade. I don't know if that will continue at 4,500. And then for all the bigs that are going to be playing in this game, I mean, it's going to be a tough matchup against Bam and Ware on the other side. So I can't really get behind anything. And then to round out, I mean, Niang at 4,300, he went absolutely off last night. Do we see a repeat? I don't necessarily think so. I think, the Heat haven't been playing the best defense, but I think I'm all over the Heat and no Hawks. Did I miss something, or would you agree, or do you have anybody from the Hawks that you like?
Yeah, I mean, I like Dyson Daniels. I mean, Niang at 4,300. I mean, I don't like the player, but I can't argue with what he's done since he's come over to this team. He shot it 20 times last night. Like, I didn't see that game, so I don't know if they were leaving him wide open. But, man, him shooting 20 times is not a good recipe for anybody. But it would be Daniels. It would be Niang just based off his price tag. I don't think Trae Young is cheeks like my boy Wardo in the chat, so I don't hate him at 9,400. He just is so involved. scores it, passes it, shoots a bunch of free throws. So, no, I like that. And then I like Hero Bam on the other side. I think Wiggins on the second night of a back-to-back, I think that's fool's gold right there at 6,500 myself. I said it on Friday, and I think he played like 0 minutes, but I think slow-mo at 3,500. Second night of a back-to-back, if they give one of these vets the night off, put slow-mo in there, and he does what he did against Dallas a couple weeks ago. I don't hate him. If he gets 20-plus minutes, but a couple of those Heat guys would have to miss for me to like him, though.
Absolutely. And we're seeing here in the chat, I'm going to pull it up. Obviously my misstep, if I made a mistake on Dyson being out versus the Heat, sounds like I'm wrong, so I apologize for that. So maybe not necessarily the best matchup as we've seen, but still something to consider.
Yeah. 2 games left. Make sure you hit that like. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We got a rematch from last night. We got the T-Wolves who kept it close last night, but now head into OKC to take on this Thunder team. SGA was balling last night. Anthony Edwards shot it a bunch, missed a bunch. Did pretty well last night. I saw he almost helped our boy Rio get a shipper last night. But talk to me about this one, T-Wolves at the Thunder.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously they scored 1 billion points last night, but Randall's questionable. Gobert, I believe, is officially ruled out, if I'm not mistaken. Chet is out this morning. So, this is kind of a tough spot for me because I'll compare the Thunder to, let's say, the Cavaliers, right? In games where their games stay close, they destroy tags because they're so priced to some of these blowouts. I don't anticipate this game staying super close tonight. I think, obviously Ant's been on an absolute scoring tear. And if I'm not mistaken, played the first half real tough last night and then got hot there to end the game. But this is just going to be like, hey, I don't want to get too excited about one game. I don't necessarily want to go back to it. I think I would approach it how I've approached it all season. If I anticipate the Thunder blowing games or blowing teams out, I'm not going to get too much Thunder. The same, I've kind of been fading the T-Wolves all year, aside from when they have injury stuff. So that's kind of where I land tonight. I will, kind of touch on Nas at 7,900. They want to get him more looks in the paint. He has no ownership. We obviously know that, he has really good upside. Yes, at almost 8K, it's a little bit interesting because he's got to get into the high 40s and 50s to make it worth it. But if they want to get him more touches in the paint, especially with Chet out on the other side, I could make a case for him at essentially no ownership. You could always make a case for Ant at 9,300, especially, if his ownership is going to be, 9-8%, we'll call it, a little bit down from the number of 10 and 11 that we have now. You can get it, but I think I'd rather go elsewhere on a 7-game slate. I could say, like, if it's official that Randall and Gobert are both out, then NAW, yes, 5,100, but he could see some extended minutes, so I don't mind that. Clark is questionable. I need to see if that's the case. Absolutely bump NAW a little bit more if he is out, but that's kind of where I stand. I don't want to attack one of the best defenses in the league, specifically, one of the best rim defenses in the league with the Thunder. And then to the Thunder side, yes, we can always make a case for SGA, especially, when he's going to garner no ownership. Yes, Chet's off the floor, so we're kind of going to get back to the old SGA that we saw when Chet was missing during the season. And then obviously with him out, we're going to bump Jalen Williams and Hartenstein. I think I'd rather go there at, the discounted tags. And let's say this game does get out of hand, then they're going to offer more upside just in 3 quarters. Well, I wouldn't call it more upside, but a better floor in 3 quarters because of how much money you're spending on them. I'll go Hartenstein a little bit over Jalen Williams. But I anticipate these guys both playing the 4 and the 5 with Chet out. And if the game stays close, be playing all game and have some extreme upside there at no ownership. Yes, with the injury, you can bump Wiggins and Caruso. Caruso played 24 minutes last night, so can definitely get behind that. But I think this is going to be a game that I'm going to look to kind of just fade. And if Ant, is going to be the most owned player in the game at 10, 11%, then I'm okay with it. And I'll just kind of make it a 6-game slate myself. But if I was playing it, I want to get some Hartenstein. I want to get some Jalen Williams. And at essentially no ownership, if the game stays close, I'm okay with some SGA.
Yeah, nice breakdown there. I'm with you. This game's more of a stay away than anything for me. We got 1 game left on the slate, and we got a lot of injuries to report. 2 of the big dogs in the middle for the Trailblazers are out. Ayton is out. Robert Williams is out. So you got some clinging. You got some Barry Walker, who was balling the other night. Then you have this Jazz team, BJ, that's just missing half the roster, I feel like. A lot of their production, so there's going to be a lot of value. We've got a lot to talk through. Kessler, Markkanen, Collins, Clarkson, Sexton remains out. 5 players that, starters, in my opinion, are all out tonight. Talk to me about this game and talk to me where we can get some value.
Yeah, so this is where it's going to be at. I mean, a couple of notes here to start. The Blazers have been kind of playing sneaky good defense. I mean, they're taking away the transition and the catch and shoot. They've been playing well as a team. The Jazz have been better, down low, kind of defending the paint and at the rim. But they're giving up transition points. So, I mean, this game is going to get ownership, rightfully so. We got a million guys out on the Jazz side, and there's going to be some mispriced pieces as we've seen with the Blazers. So we'll start at the Blazers side. Simons will kind of get him out of the way at 6,700, especially at double-digit ownership. He's passing the ball, but not necessarily shooting, to what I would want from 6,700. Plus, the Jazz have been a lot better in the pick and roll, specifically against the ball handler. So I'll kind of get off there. It's going to be Kamara, Denny, and Klingon for me. I mean, I'm anticipating Klingon to get more than the minutes he's kind of producing. I'm waiting for, one of those games where he has, minutes into the 30s and really destroy his tag. I think people, got a little bit burned a few nights ago, and that's why we're kind of seeing under 10% ownership. But it's Kamara for me over Denny slightly. He's been playing awesome. They want to keep getting him looks, and this is going to be a game where they're going to see transition, and both those guys kind of flourish in transition. So Kamara a little bit higher than Denny, but both are going to be great plays, and the ownership will follow that. And then if Klingon can finally get some minutes, I'm all over that at 5,500. And I believe it's a great spot to attack, KJ Martin, Filipowski, Sensible, whoever it may be on the other side. This is going to be a good spot for him to have a ceiling game, if you will. And then for the Jazz, I mean, when we're looking at this Jazz team, I mean, we have what? Let's do it by minutes. So, I mean, Keontae George is going to be low to 30. We'll call it low 30s minutes. Same with Collier at low 30s. Filipowski at 4,600. He's going to have all of the run, like Rio alluded to in the slate plan. That we have some guys down in the G League. So these guys are going to be popular, rightfully so. I think you could go to any of these guys. Really, I'm not the biggest sense ball guy, just because I don't know how much upside there is. Same with Skeeve. I mean, 4K under a fantasy point per minute producer. I'd rather go Collier, who's looking like one of the best, I wouldn't call it one of the best guard roles, but I mean, he's leading the team with tons of potential assists. He's getting tons of touch time. We get him at 6,200. Yes, we get a tougher matchup against the Blazers, but he's going to have the ball all game, so I really like that. Obviously, Keontae George is 6,500 off of the bench. Absolutely get behind him. And then Filipowski, I think he's going to be like a must play at 4,600. And we can round out with KJ Martin, yes, at 3,900. He's getting no ownership. That's definitely going to change as we get closer to lock. And at 3,900, you can definitely make him a play. But I think I'd rather go with one of the guards or Filipowski down low at 4,600.
Yeah, I mean, Filipowski, 4,600 as a starter. Go ahead and start your teams with him, in my opinion. That's a pretty cheap tag for somebody that's going to play 30-plus minutes, be very involved on the offensive side, and going to get tons of rebounds. I like him. And then those Trailblazers are tough. I mean, a lot of Klingon talk in the chat. I mean, I love Klingon, but man, he just doesn't get the minutes. He could do it. He could block shots and get rebounds and get there, but and then the offensive stuff would just be a bonus. But man, for whatever reason, he just doesn't get the minutes that we all hope and wish.
What would you say? I'm sorry to interrupt. What would you say his minutes? Like, what would be the minute total if we could see the future and see how many minutes he's playing? What would be the lowest minute total you'd be comfortable playing him at?
5,500. I mean, he would need to get 25.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think like if he plays 22, I'm not going to play him, but if he plays 25, I think he's got a little bit of upside there. I think that's like the perfect line for it.
Yeah, and I think these Trailblazers, they were hot the other night against Charlotte. I think they're going to be very popular against this crummy Jazz team. But man, we've seen Chauncey do some crazy things. So he'll play 12 dudes, like 19 minutes apiece, and just like none of them are going to be on the winner. For me personally, it's going to be heavily concentrated in that Denver-Indiana game and that Chicago-Philly game. I think there's a lot of DFS goodness in those two games alone, and rightfully so. I mean, there's a reason why those totals are so high. Any other closing thoughts before we get up on out of here?
No, I mean, we have what? We have more than half of the slate locking right as soon as the slate locks. It's obviously good for injury news, but it's going to be a little bit tougher for us for kind of flexibility as the slate goes on. So keep that in mind when you're building your lineups that, there could be a handful of your lineups that are absolutely locking more than half of your players going right as soon as the slate starts. So I think it's important. I think you drilled it. Both of those games are going to be high up on the list. And I think, the interesting way to kind of get off of some of the love that will go to this Nuggets game is kind of getting your combos different from the Nuggets side. Obviously, like I said, I'm going to play Joker, but I'm going to look for different combos where I could get at least 2, max 3 of these Nuggets and kind of get different than the field with who else I'm throwing in my lineups.
All right, before we get up on here, I want your 6X lock of the day. Who on this slate is going to 6X their salary and be in the winner when it's all said and done tonight?
Dang, I kind of want to give you 2, and one of them.
Give me 2.
I don't know who it would be. It's going to be Kamara at 5,600. I absolutely love that spot, but I think it's I think you called it fool's gold. Andrew Wiggins, being the lead scorer for the Heat tonight.
6X, not 2X.
I think it's one of those guys. I would lean, Kamara with the lower tag, but I think both those guys kind of offer you getting different than some of these builds with the popular guys that we're seeing.
All right, I would bet anything in this world that Wiggins doesn't even get to, definitely not 6X. He won't get to 30 in my opinion, but my 6X lock of the night, we're going back to somebody said that he was cheeks, and maybe he is, but not tonight. Aaron Nesmith, $3,900. He's going to get you 30 DraftKings points. You can write it down, take a picture of that. That is a lead pipe.
A lot of pressure on that pick. You can't get 2 in a row. You can't go the back-to-back sub 10 fantasy points. So I can't wait to tune into that game and see.
Oh man, no, Aaron Nesmith, he's a lock for 30. That is just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Hey, we certainly appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you head on over to SHIPIT Nation. Check out our new partnership with SaberSim, the best projections in the industry, the best everything when it comes to optimizing your teams. But for my guy BJ, we'll be back Friday. But as always, just ship it.